The whole thing started on a Tuesday at Riverside High during lunch. Luna Parker stood in the cafeteria looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. She'd only been at Riverside a month and still hadn't figured out where she fit in the organized chaos. Her dark hair hung around her face as she gripped her lunch tray, staring at a turkey sandwich that seemed heavier than it should. I was at a corner table when I noticed trouble brewing. Luna made her way toward the pizza line when three figures emerged like sharks, sensing blood. Chad Morrison led the pack, his varsity jacket stretched across championship shoulders. Ryan Hayes and Jake Sullivan flanked him with synchronized confidence of guys who'd never heard no. They positioned themselves directly in Luna's path with predator precision. Other students sensed the shift, conversations quieting as attention drifted toward what was unfolding. "Well, look what we have here." Chad's voice carried that tone reserved for moments when he had an audience. The new girl finally decided to join us at the pizza counter. Luna kept walking, eyes fixed ahead, but I could see tension in her shoulders. She clutched that tray like a shield. "I'm sorry," she said quietly, barely audible. "I just want to get some lunch." The word sorry hit Chad like validation. His lips curved into a predatory smile. "Sorry?" He stepped closer, expensive cologne mixing with weight room aroma. "You should be sorry. Walking around like you own the place, thinking you can fit in wherever you want." I'd seen this pattern before, Chad selecting targets based on perceived weakness. The quiet new girl had triggered every predatory instinct they possessed. But something about Luna's stance didn't match the helpless victim narrative Chad seemed determined to write. Despite hunched shoulders, her feet remained perfectly positioned, weight distributed evenly. Something about her posture suggested someone who'd faced confrontation before. "Look at me when I'm talking to you." Chad's voice developed an edge. Luna slowly lifted her head, green eyes meeting his directly. Whatever Chad expected, fear, submission, wasn't what greeted him. He encountered something that made him pause, covering uncertainty with increased aggression. "Now here's how this works, new girl. The pizza counter has rules. When you're new, you wait your turn." At the back, Ryan snickered deliberately loud. "Yeah, come back when real students are done eating." The cafeteria grew quieter. Students turned their attention to the confrontation, phones emerging as they sensed something significant might unfold. The logic made no sense, except as pure power play, testing if she'd submit to arbitrary authority. "I've been waiting," Luna said quietly, but something in her tone suggested deeper currents. "Just like everyone else." Jake stepped forward, towering over Luna's modest frame. "Did you just talk back to him?" I think the little mouse just squeaked. The nickname hit its target. Students laughed, the label beginning to stick. Little mouse. Small, frightened, helpless, but appearances deceive. Luna set her tray down, with movements so controlled they seemed mechanical. The plastic made barely a sound, despite tension radiating through the cafeteria. "I just want to eat my lunch," she repeated. This time the whisper carried differently, steel beneath silk. Chad sensed the shift, misinterpreting it as surrender preparation. "Smart choice," he said, stepping into her personal space. "Learn the pecking order, accept your place, everybody stays happy." Ryan moved to Luna's left, positioning her between two larger boys. The coordination was practiced. "Of course," Ryan added with too many teeth showing, "there might be a toll for the lesson. Consider it tuition." He extended his hand toward Luna's apple with casual entitlement. That's when Luna's facade cracked. Her left hand intercepted Ryan's fingers, placing her palm against his wrist and applying slight pressure. Ryan jerked back as if touching something unexpectedly solid. "Don't," Luna said, voice finally above whisper. The word landed with unexpected weight. Not plea or question, but statement of fact, delivered with quiet authority. Chad's eyes narrowed at this defiance. In his experience, intimidation worked through escalation, but Luna wasn't following the script. "Oh, now she's got attitude," Jake said, less confident than before. Something about Luna's precise movement suggested capabilities that didn't match her vulnerable appearance. My textbook slid forgotten as I watched with growing fascination. Luna's body language had changed, shoulders hunched, but feet shifted into a stance that spoke to training, preparation. Other students noticed too. Conversations stopped as more turned to watch what was becoming genuine confrontation rather than casual intimidation. Chad felt all those eyes, expectation that he'd maintain his position through decisive action. Backing down would crack the authority he'd spent years building. "You know your problem." He stepped closer until Luna had to tilt her head back. "You think because you came from some fancy private school, you can change how things work. But this isn't your old school, little mouse. This is the real world." His hand rose, finger jabbing toward Luna's shoulder for physical punctuation to verbal dominance. But Ryan, emboldened by Chad's aggression and eager to prove loyalty, decided words weren't moving fast enough. His hands moved to Luna's shoulders, intending a firm shove that would send her stumbling and cement their dominance. His palms made contact. Everything changed. The movement happened so fast, observers would later disagree about what they saw. One moment Ryan pushed forward with casual confidence. The next, his world tilted as something impacted his chest with focused force. Luna's right fist connected with Ryan's sternum, her body rotating through the punch with textbook form, speaking to years of training. The strike wasn't wild or desperate. Calculated, delivered with technical precision, maximizing impact while minimizing wasted motion. Ryan's feet left the ground. For a stretched moment he hung suspended, expressions cycling through confusion, surprise, and dawning realization he'd lost complete control. Then gravity reasserted itself, and his body crashed backward into the pizza counter display table. The collision created destruction symphony. Metal trays clattered against tile, plastic containers exploded across floor. The entire display tilted sideways before collapsing with thunder, rolling through suddenly silent cafeteria. Cheese sauce created abstract art across walls. Pepperoni scattered like oversized confetti. Paper plates transformed into white snowstorm, settling on wreckage of what had been orderly food service. In the center, Ryan Hayes, 6 feet of varsity athlete who'd radiated untouchable confidence, lay sprawled among pizza counter ruins. Marinara painting his Letterman jacket in permanent abstract patterns. The cafeteria fell into absolute silence following natural disasters. 500 students held their breath, struggling to process what they'd witnessed. The little mouse, quiet new girl who whispered apologies, had just put one of Riverside's most feared bullies through a table with single punch. My hand covered my mouth, eyes shining with dangerous admiration. Around the cafeteria, phones emerged as students realized they were witnessing something that would be discussed for months. Chad stared at his friend's crumpled form, brain struggling to reconcile what he saw with everything he thought he knew about power dynamics. Jake stepped backward involuntarily, confidence evaporating. Cafeteria doors burst open with everyone jumping bang. Principal Williams strode into destruction, eyes taking in overturned table, food-covered floor. Ryan struggling to sit among wreckage. His gaze shifted to Luna, still in fighting stance. Then Chad and Jake cycling through shock, anger, and realization their world had fundamentally shifted. "Nobody move!" Principal Williams' voice cut silence like blade. "Nobody says a word until I figure out exactly what happened." But as his eyes scanned destroyed pizza counter and settled on the small girl at center, Luna Parker allowed herself the smallest smile. For the first time since arriving at Riverside, she was no longer invisible. and definitely no longer anyone's victim. The aftermath stretched like held breath. Principal Williams assessed the scene with eyes that had witnessed 23 years of teenage catastrophes, but even his experienced gaze widened at destruction's scope. After sending me to call custodial staff, Principal Williams escorted Luna to his office. The walk felt like parade through enemy territory, students lining hallways with whispered speculation following every step. His office reflected 2 decades of educational service. Walls lined with graduation photos, achievement certificates, accumulated wisdom of someone who'd seen every teenage drama variation. Riverside installed cameras 3 years ago, he explained, pulling up security system. Every public space, every angle, timestamp accurate to the second. The footage showed everything, Luna navigating carefully through lunch chaos. The 3 boys positioning themselves in her path. Chad's escalating verbal aggression. Ryan's hands moving toward Luna's shoulders with casual confidence, expecting easy dominance. Then Luna's lightning response. Textbook precision, speaking to years of training. Remarkable, Principal Williams murmured, watching the counterattack in slow motion. Where exactly did you learn to punch like that? My father was a Marine instructor before becoming civilian contractor. Luna's voice carried quiet pride mixed with honesty. He taught me self-defense from 8 years old, 6 years karate, 2 years mixed martial arts. Dad always said the best fight is one you never have, but if someone puts hands on you first, end it quickly and decisively. Principal Williams rewound footage, studying positioning and body language. What he saw confirmed initial assessment. Luna maintained defensive posture throughout, never initiating contact, never escalating beyond verbal responses until Ryan's hands touched her body. Self-defense, he said finally, clear and unambiguous. The next hour brought witness parade. I provided detailed account of subtle body language changes leading to physical confrontation. Luna never did anything aggressive, I insisted. She kept trying to de-escalate, kept voice down, even apologized when she had nothing to apologize for, but they wouldn't leave her alone. Other students confirmed similar observations. Chad's escalating verbal aggression, coordinated intimidation tactics, Luna's repeated attempts avoiding confrontation through submission. By the time witness statements were complete, the picture emerged of systematic bullying met by reluctant but justified self-defense. Mr. Morrison, Mr. Hayes, and Mr. Sullivan will be suspended 1 week, Principal Williams announced during formal hearing. Security footage clearly shows physical contact.